The White House running defense now for Vice President Kamala Harris. Big backlash after she said hurricane aid would be equity-based, suggesting race and income would play a factor. President Biden's FEMA chief quickly denied that comment, saying aid is available to all Floridians. Here's the White House press secretary on it.
The vice president was clearly talking about long-term investment, not FEMA aid for hurricane response efforts. We are committed to quickly getting resources to all communities impacted, period, full stop. But we also know that some people, particularly in lower income communities, have a hard time accessing that help.
Governor DeSantis, whose campaign said the VP's remarks created undue panic, said this.
To play identity politics with a storm and a natural disaster. And I think it's ridiculous. It's totally not appropriate. You don't have to politicize every single tragedy in this country. And I think people, I tell you, in Florida are really sick of the nonsense. They just want people to be helped.
Congresswoman Kat Cammack, Republican of Florida, member of the House Homeland Security Committee, also ranking member on the Emergency Preparedness Response and Recovery Subcommittee. You and I have had many talks about FEMA and aid for people in need. Last time it was about baby formula. This time it's about Hurricane Ian. Your first thoughts when you heard the Vice President of the United States make those comments?
Well, good to see you, Harris. And honestly, at this point, I feel like the White House needs to hire Mr. Clean for their spokesperson, because clearly all that job entails is cleaning up the mess of the president and the vice president. She needs to go back to the salad bar and rework her word salad, as she has been known to do, because she is absolutely out of line to suggest that aid after this disastrous once in 5 year storm is going to be based on equity or race or socioeconomic status. We're here for all Americans, not just Republicans or Democrats, all Americans. So we're doing what good Americans do. We're responding to our friends and neighbors in need. And it's just disgusting that they would try to politicize this, just as they tried to do that last Friday when they sent $2 billion of FEMA money to the border. That is ridiculous. On the same day that Hurricane Ian smacked my home state, it's a real shame, Harris.
Yeah, they're trying to clean up after, throw good money after bad. That's not how you're going to solve what's happening at the border. I just came back from there. I mean, if we thought that's all it would take, Americans would, say, okay, it's over. It wasn't over the next day, and we had another disaster on our hands with a hurricane. All right, New York City Mayor Eric Adams now going after the far left of his own party over the border crisis. It comes after his city for weeks now has seen busloads of illegal immigrants sent from Texas, 8,100 since April. That number is like 2 days down at the border in one sector, the Del Rio sector. A drop in the bucket, really, compared to the estimated 600 encounters on the southern border now, almost daily. Watch together.
The far right is doing the wrong thing. The far left is doing nothing. I mean, the silence, I don't believe the silence that I'm hearing. These are people in need of services. And I am not hearing from the two ends of the spectrum.
A near majority of Florida voters say they support the transport of illegal immigrants away from the border because they're inundated along the southern states, the southwestern states. They see part of the United States in pain. So they are now saying, yeah, go ahead and do that. The poll was taken weeks after Governor DeSantis decided to relocate migrants to Massachusetts and New York. Congresswoman, what's your reaction to how it's being handled on both sides of the aisle?
Well, Harris, I know I sound like a broken record, but again, I go back to, if you want to play stupid games, you're going to win stupid prizes. And Mayor Eric Adams campaigned on a liberal progressive agenda. He wanted those votes, he courted those votes, and he courted that base. And this is exactly what they've been asking for. Now they're paying the price. For too long, this has been an issue that so many around the country have said, oh, it's just at the border, it's not a big deal. Well, 8,100, it's just like you said. That's what those Texas towns see in a day, 2 days, maybe. So this is just a drop in the bucket. And I fully support the DeSantis Airlines program, honestly, because what we know is that this has turned every single town in America into a border town. Yes. And everyone is outraged and shocked. But when Biden flies people around the country in the dead of night, they have nothing to say. So the hypocrisy of the left knows no bounds. And as far as his comments, that he has not heard anybody on the right talking about this issue, we have a plan to fix it. We've had that plan in place, and Speaker Pelosi has refused to bring that legislation to the floor. The president has refused to secure the border. This is on the Democrats' hands. Full stop.
Imagine if the Democrats had done exactly what the New York City Mayor Eric Adams is talking about. What if they had done nothing and left those policies from the previous administration in place? We wouldn't be where we are now if they had done nothing, but they literally did the wrong things. He still has a distance to go, the New York City mayor, before he gets to that point, apparently. Okay, we'll take some distance forward together. Critics tearing into the Democratic mayor of Austin, Texas. Cameras caught him sleeping during the funeral for fallen police officer Tony Martin, who was killed in a car crash last month. Nap time for Mayor Steve Adler. I mean, dude is out. He apologized to the officer's family in a statement after yesterday's service. Adler slashed about a third of the Austin police budget at the height of the defund movement. So everybody's doing double, triple what they normally would be. So showing up and staying awake at a funeral for a cop, you might want to do that. North to crime-ridden New York City. We're back to the mayor again. The parents of an FDNY paramedic fatally stabbed in broad daylight reportedly confronted Mayor Adams at their daughter's wake. They were heard demanding that he get control of the city's spiraling crime crisis. Lieutenant Allison Russo-Elling was stabbed 19 times during her lunch break in a random attack. I know your husband is in EMT and emergency services. You worry about him being out there. This is a Democrat-led city problem, mostly.
Yeah, you know, think about this, Harris. My husband today is preparing for SWAT training tomorrow. And as we were going through preparing all his gear for today, I can't help but think of the families that are experiencing just the absolute disdain of the elected leadership of their cities. To fall asleep in a funeral, that's absolutely unacceptable. I can't even imagine how their family must be feeling. My heart absolutely just breaks for them. Excuse yourself out of the room, or heck, don't even show up. But to fall asleep just shows your utter and total disdain for law enforcement. But you know what really gets to me is that all of the communities around the country who have done it right, they have funded their police, they have supported their law enforcement and their first responders. Nancy Pelosi punished them by allocating and redistributing $8 billion to those communities that defunded their police. This is why it's so backwards. We've got to get back to supporting the police and our first responders. There's no other way around it. We have to support the police.
We do. And, you know, you had such a great point there. He could just have skipped the whole event, but that would look a lot like the policies that he's put in place by taking money away from the very people that protect the citizens. Congressman Cammack, thank you very much for being in focus always.
Thank you, Harris.